range of industries, which to a certain extent should buffer us compared to some of the other industries out there.
Yes.
But of course, you read the West Australian in the last week or so, new car sales are down, used car, the real estate's dropped goodness knows how many percent, mines are shutting on projects. So if you read the papers, it's gloom and doom all over the place. But in most cases, as we say, when it comes to the newspapers, they're all reporting on what's happened. It doesn't mean that's going to continue to happen. And Harvey Norman had said, in terms of the recession, listen, so much of this is about confidence, so much of it's about attitude. So the approach you take to it, whether you go defensive, at some point, even in any football game, you actually have to kick goals, don't you?
Absolutely. Our business members are members of the Chamber because they are successful and they do enjoy mixing with other successful people. Mm-hmm. And through that mixing, it's automatic that the positivity stays and the success increases.
Yes, success breeds success.
Absolutely.
Successful people doing business with successful people. So at each of the functions, in many ways, by being part of those functions, first of all, you will soak up the positive attitude, which is very important, isn't it? Without it being some kind of evangelical meeting, but just by being in the environment, you go, well, if they're doing okay, what can I learn from them?
Ideas will be flowing.
Exactly. So on that, when it comes to ideas, straight away, one of the magazines that you distribute through the Chamber, this Business Dynamics magazine, had a whole series of tips around how to handle 2009. I'm just going to run through a couple of those tips. 1, ask for help. Don't panic. Meet with business advisors you know and can trust. So straight away, that's exactly what we're talking about doing within the Chamber.
Exactly.
There'll be business advisors that you know and can trust, sharing information that normally they'd actually charge a lot of money for free. Which is, but you make the point, knowing your business enough to say, actually, I could do some help.
Yes.
It's being able to put your hand up and say, I'm not Robinson Crusoe here. I'm actually part of a whole community, and I can put my hand up and learn from other people, get some help from other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. And of course, then, as you said, know your numbers and review the costs. Now, what I see often happen in these times is the accountants can go ballistic and want to cut. And there are areas, of course, where people can cut in their business, but of course only if they know the business. What are some of the things you recommend as far as actions that businesses can take, or even some successful business people what they do both in good times and in bad times?
I think looking at their staff is very important to make sure that their staff are working together as a strong team, and that their staff are providing input to ideas and business development, and of course efficiencies. Also to look for new markets. There are new markets all the time. Markets change constantly, whether we're in good or bad times. So we need to keep eyes open for new markets. And I think every aspect of the business should be looked at with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking as you're talking there, what we've identified at the G20, which, as I say, you put together with Action Coaching and other people, was the key areas will be sales and marketing, finance and planning as 3 key themes that we'll work with in this Strengthen Your Business in the Recession. And what we find is so often in these tough times, people panic and start to cut back on sales and marketing. Yet what we know is that by investing in sales and marketing in these tough times, you could actually gain market share. And so many businesses in these times in the past, when they've invested in market share while everyone else is contracting and being afraid, this is when you can get market share and in fact a discount. You can get market share at a discount by investing in sales and marketing at this point in time.
Yes, certainly prices have come down and people are more eager to provide service and perhaps a better service.
Yeah. And so on the list in the magazine, which is our area in Blue Rocket, where we focus on breakthrough sales strategies, is focus on sales. You've made the point of looking for opportunities. There's a dangerous assumption people can make, there are no opportunities now because, there's a recession and therefore, everything's in reduction. But in fact, there are tons of opportunities if only you actively go out and seek them, isn't it?
Yes, and in boom times, a lot more people come into your market, into your marketplace. when things tighten up, those people leave the market, which allows you huge opportunities.
Yes, the Johnny come lately, so to speak. They come in when it's good and then jump when it gets a bit tight.
The backyarders.
But at the same time, people still need, as you say, plumbing, toilets still get blocked, electrical work still has to be done, people still need finance, or they still need to be buying things for their house, or they still need to be putting petrol in their car or going to the supermarket. So there are a whole range of industries that people are going to need, good times or bad times. I'm not sure, I don't think people are going to make less telephone calls because things got a bit tight. If anything, they might need to make more telephone calls.
More, yes.
Yeah. But the other side of things, which is why we have our friends at Bird Cameron involved, is the area of finance and planning, which of course Action Coach are involved with as well, is taking a solid, systematic look at your finances and take a solid, systematic look at your planning so that you are geared up and focused on where you're heading. What are some of the things? I mean, you mentioned before one of the members that we have here, which you could either mention by name or not, but as you said, good times or bad, he's always got his eye on the ball. So when you say on his eye on the ball, what are some of the things he's got his eye on?
Well, I think if he looks at his product and he says, well, how can I produce this product more efficiently, and how can I run a team around that product more efficiently?
Mm.
What can I do? How can I increase the team's the quality of the team? And how can I increase the quality of the product without the price going up?
Which reminds me, when you mentioned before about involving staff, towards the end of Ansett, talking about decline, when Ansett were in decline, I was talking to some of the stewards on the plane on the way back, and I said, did management ever actually tell you how things were going? And I said, oh no, management always said things were going great. Even in the week before we actually went broke, they kept telling us that. Well, I think mistake number one, not levelling. And then I said, did they ever ask you for ideas on how you could either make money or save money? I said, no, they never asked us, because we've since been speaking about that. There's probably 20, 30, 50 different ways we could have told them how they could make more money and save money, but they never actually asked. And I think, as you've touched on before, one of the key things to do in these times is to tap in and harness the brain power of your people. In fact, I did a coaching session just yesterday with the sales team that had a record month last October, November, which was 30% above their previous record. They made the first $2 million month they had as a revenue generator, and now the sales team is so focused on their plan, they want to hit at least $2.5 million. So they're going to say, well, we know we can actually expand and do even better in these so-called tough times. And as a team, came up with about 20 different ideas on how to do that. Whereas so many people in these times just panic and don't harness the power of their sales team or their employees, do they?
Exactly. And I think when people complain about staff, the staff always reflects the management. And you'll walk into a good organisation where the staff are happy and working, and that's because the management are involving them and helping them develop the business.
Which reminds me, my wife, it's got me reading the President Obama's book, Audacity of Hope, which is just a fantastic book, and he talks about in leadership, one of the key things we need to be giving our people is hope. I mean, without hope, what have you got? And so it's about a positive vision of where we're heading and how there is a brighter future, and there are ways of doing it. And even if you just focus on 3 key things of what you can do to make that future a reality, it's way better than constantly dwelling on what's not happening and that's not good enough and we're in trouble, and if we don't do this next week, we're all going to go down the tube. Fear is nowhere near as good a motivator as hope. What would you say to that?
It's absolute. It's a science, and it's proven.
Yes.
Certainly, hope is there, and positivity is so important in good times and bad.
Like what you were about to say, which was, it's not rocket science, but it is science,
Science.
which is Blue Rocket's motto. That's what we say. Selling is not rocket science, but it is science. There are laws, there are principles that if you follow them, you'll make more sales, and if you don't follow them, you won't